The new campus is approximately 30 minutes away from UCF's main location. It is being built across from the UCF Center for Emerging Media. Cutting C2.
We just teased C2.
I know, I heard that. Are we cutting?
Coming up on UCF Nightly News. Millions of dollars misused to construct a new UCF building. Find out why a top UCF official stepped down.
Plus, see how Hurricane Florence brought strong riptides to the east coast of Florida.
And find out where UCF ranks in innovative universities in the country.
In sports, we'll look at how UCF hockey prepares for a new season.
Nightly News starts now. Nightly News. I'm Emily Anderson.
And I'm Ramaya Thicklin. Today is Friday, September 14th, 2018.
Now, a change in leadership at UCF. A university official is stepping down.
And University President Dale Whitaker says millions of dollars were misused. But Nightly News says Whitaker signed off on the project at Provost last year. Olivia?
That's right, Ramaya and Emily, and Whitaker wasn't the only university official to sign off on the project, but says they were all misled. Now they face an investigation about the misuse of $38 million, and the UCF chief financial officer has stepped down. Here's what we know. Whitaker made the announcement yesterday at the Florida Board of Governors meeting. The Florida Auditor General flagged the university after reviewing the project. They found $38 million in education and general funds paid for construction. The Chief Financial Officer and Vice President for Administration and Finance, Bill Merck, stepped down yesterday. According to yesterday's meeting, he's accepted full responsibility for the decision to inappropriately use those E&G funds. Now, what Nightly News uncovered through the Trevor Colburn Hall building program was that President Dale Whitaker was among 3 others who signed off for a final approval of the project back in 2017. One of those signatures was also from former UCF President John Hitt. Under the building program shows the funding for the construction was labeled as a very broad university funding. President Whitaker, who was provost at the time, says he and the Board of Trustees were misguided by where exactly those funds were coming from. He says students are not affected by these financial moves. The Board of Trustees were able to pull together multiple sources of funding to make up for lost finances. We're now working to find out where those lost funds came from and what they're supposed to go to. We're also working on asking university officials how they signed off on a $38 million project but had no idea where the university funding was coming from. An external investigation will begin next week, and we expect to have more information for you as the investigation begins. And this is an ongoing investigation, and we will continue to cover the story. Emily?
Thanks, Olivia. Hurricane Florence is bringing strong winds and heavy rain to the Carolinas and Georgia. Here in Florida, there will be stronger rip currents as a result of Florence. Nightly News reporter Nathaniel Rivas tells us more about the effects of this hurricane.
We don't get this enough, so then when we get these currents, we have to enjoy them.
The coast of Central Florida still saw effects from Hurricane Florence this week. Victor Quintero says he feels Florence in the water.
You feel the pool. The pool is different. The push is different. The water color is different. So you can kind of tell and read the water when it's coming, and then when it's low, when it's high.
Advisories from the National Weather Service included a high surf advisory and high rip current risks. Assistant Chief Derek Swore warns not to be fooled by calm waters.
Well, the long period swell that Florence is going to produce will give some times of relatively calm conditions, so it can look inviting and relatively tame.
Swore says it only takes a moment for waters to become rough. Ricky Agapito knows how to react in these strong waters.
It's pretty rough, and it's pretty dangerous if you're not a very strong swimmer, so you kind of have to know which way the rip currents are going and try to swim, with the current, and the current will eventually take you back to shore, but the key is to basically don't panic.
Swore says to check in with the lifeguards before going in for a swim.
They've been watching the conditions progress throughout the week. They know where the most likely place for a rip current to occur.
He says the lifeguards train in the rip currents to find the best way back to shore. In Cocoa Beach, Nathaniel Rivas, UCF Nightly News.
A high rip current advisory is in effect until this evening for Central Florida. The strongest currents are expected this afternoon due to the tides.
Jumping 15 spots to number 10, UCF is now ranked among the most innovative universities in the nation for 2018. The rankings released Monday are based on innovative improvements to curriculum, faculty, campus life, technology, and other factors. Vice President for Partnerships and Chief Innovation Officer Dr. Thaddeus Seymour says he's working to make UCF a catalyst for innovations in the region. He says the students, staff, and faculty at UCF are always focused on how to get better.
Whitaker talks a lot about how can we become the model for what great 21st century universities ought to look like. And you don't do that by doing it the same old way.
Says he's focused and excited about building the recognition to innovation in the future. He says going forward, UCF, especially the downtown campus, will work on effectively engaging the community.
Former President Hitt started a campaign during his presidency to raise a record-breaking amount of money for UCF. President Whitaker is making sure Hitt's dreams for the Ignite campaign are fulfilled. Nightly News reporter Cassie Delamarter tells us more about UCF Ignite.
For UCF is quickly approaching its end with less than 300 days left on the countdown. The Ignite campaign brought together the UCF community with one common goal, to raise $500 million. UCF Vice President for Advancement Michael Morsberger says it's not about the money, it's about what the money can do.
Raising $500 million is no easy job, but the benefits are so remarkable.
Right now, Ignite has raised $416 million, but Morsberger is hoping that they're going to reach $500 million long before this countdown runs out. UCF Ignite officials say there are 3 priorities for the $500 million. The first priority focuses an estimated $200 million on funding study abroad opportunities and several scholarships for students.
Well, about 1 in every 4 students here at UCF is a first-generation student. We're very passionate here about supporting first-generation students and helping them graduate as well as just attend UCF.
For every dollar donated for a first-generation student, the state of Florida matches the donation and doubles it.
So every year we're working very hard to raise at least that $1.5 million so we can get matched by a few million more.
Another $200 million will be used to recruit a world-class faculty and pursue breakthrough research. The rest will be used to expand UCF downtown and UCF's global footprint. The campaign ends on June 30th, 2019. In Orlando, Cassidy Delamarter, UCF Nightly News.
Without philanthropy like the Ignite campaign, UCF would not have had fundings for things like the Spectrum Stadium or the ability to found a medical college. If you're interested in donating to the Ignite campaign, visit ucfalumni.com.
A new study reports that tuition across the nation's university is rising at an exponential rate, and higher tuition means more graduates with more depth. U.S. News and World Report data shows in-state tuition at public universities has risen 243% in 20 years. In 2016, the average amount of debt shouldered about graduates with $29,000. UCF Financial Aid offers reports a lower average about $21,000. Students will still worry about paying off debts and have a successful future.
I'm having to think about going to my master's program. And will I have a scholarship for my master's? And will I have to take out loans for that in order to get a job to pay back the loans? It's a big hamster wheel, so it's very challenging.
Officials also report higher than average debt-free graduates. UCF average is 44%. The national average is 34%.
The first major hurricane of the 2018 season has officially made landfall.
Kenzie, what's the latest update on Florence?
Yes, thank you, ladies. So we do have a lot to talk about on Florence. Now, the southernmost point of North Carolina is expected to get 20 inches of rain within the next 24 hours. They are concerned about flooding and those who did not evacuate the Carolinas. However, one of their main concerns besides the flooding and the 80,000 power outages are storm surges forming along the coast. Now, Florence is expected to die out by the time Monday comes around with 30 miles per hour winds. Now back to you, Emily and Ramaya.
Thanks, Kinsey. Coming up, we'll take a look at two provost candidates who spoke this week.
Plus, see how early celebrations got started for Hispanic Heritage Month. We'll be back right after the break.
Hispanic Heritage Month starts tomorrow, September 15th, but the city of Orlando began celebrating Wednesday night. Latin art, music, food, and beverages highlighted the celebration. Guests spent time talking to vendors, artists, musicians, and each other. Mayor of Orlando Buddy Dyer and District 2 Commissioner Tony Ortiz presented the ceremony. Grammy Award singer Olga Tañón received a key to Orlando. The mayor says this culture brings special pride to the city.
We're so proud to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Latinos in the city of Orlando to the rich culture, the traditions, the food, and the music.
Heritage Month ceremony. Hispanic Heritage Month runs until October 15th.
The search for UCF's newest provost is in full swing. UCF faculty, staff, and students gathered to question the second of 4 candidates for the open role. Stephanie A. Lindquist is currently running for the position. She works as a deputy provost and vice president for academic affairs at Arizona State University. Lindquist says she is amazed with the opportunities a partnership UCF can do with other institutions.
And when you think about the partnerships that UCF can build with other institutions of higher learning and government and nonprofit, et cetera, around the world, and for-profit, the potential is enormous. In fact, I'd argue that it is essentially endless.
Lindquist says she hopes to consider for candidates because UCF is a growing school and she would love to be a part of it.
The third candidate spoke for UCF's newest provost position yesterday. In the Fairwinds Alumni Center, UCF faculty, staff, and students gathered to listen and question Dr. Elizabeth Dooley. She currently serves as the university's interim provost. She's also the vice provost for the Division of Teaching and Learning, as well as the dean of the College of Undergraduate Studies. Dooley says UCF needs to invest more in students and turn them into researchers.
UCF has a responsibility to invest in research and to create the best researchers that we can.
The next open forum for the final provost candidate will be held on Monday, September 17th at the Fairwinds Alumni Center at 3:45. Nightly News is carefully watching the tropics.
Kinsey, what's the update on other tropical systems?
Yes, thank you, ladies. So Florence has made landfall in North Carolina and is looking to move toward Myrtle Beach within the next hour, heading toward South Carolina. North Carolina's lower regions are looking to get 20 inches of rain. However, we do have 3 other storms in the Atlantic brewing. We have Isaac, Joyce, and Helene. Isaac is just a depression and will die out. Joyce is heading eastward and is a hurricane and will also die out. Helene is also heading eastward toward Ireland with 30-mile-per-hour winds. Now back to you, Emily and Ramaya.
Thanks, Kinsey. After the break, she'll come back and give us this week's weather forecast. We'll be right back. Hey, Raymaya, do you have any fun plans this weekend?
I'm not sure. Hopefully the weather holds up. Kinsey, what's it looking like for the next couple of days?
Yes, ladies. So the weather will be pretty dry due to Florence sucking up most of the rain. However, we will have spotty rain showers here and there. Let's look at what we expect everywhere else in Florida. Tallahassee will have a high of 95, with Jacksonville at 85. Tampa also has a high of 85. Here in Central Florida, 83. And Miami will have a high of 87. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. We will have a high here today of 95 along with tomorrow, low in the high 70s with 20% chance of rain. Monday will be a high of 92 as well as throughout the week, and the lows will be in the 75. Again, we will have spotty showers here and there due to Florence and the other tropical storms. Now back to you, Emily and Ramaya.
Thanks, Kinsey. Coming up, find out how the women's soccer team played last night.
Plus, see what milestones the volleyball coach achieved when we come back.
Hi, Knights fans. I'm Jessica Herman, and here's your UCF Sports. The UCF Hockey Club is setting their goals high this year as the new season gets ready to begin. The team finished with 16 wins, 13 losses, and 3 ties last year. But a new coaching staff and new players added to the roster will hopefully change things up for the better. Nightly News reporter Kinsey Hicks has the story from the RDV Sportsplex Ice Den in Maitland.
12 returning players, along with a new head coach, gives the UCF ice hockey team reason to believe this year will be even more successful than the last. Mike Kroll, the new head coach for the club, will take over for a team that made it to the Nationals last year but failed to place. Returning player and newly named captain Brandon Blazik says their goal as a team is to make it back to Nationals and be more of a family unit.
I would also like us to be a good group and hang out and have fun, because the season will be way more fun if we're all friends and we'll win more games.
Blazik says the rookies coming in look good and are a great addition to the team. He is looking forward to their first home opener in just over a week. The UCF hockey team has its first home opener here at the RDV Sportsplex against Embry-Riddle. Expectations are high as new head coach Mike Kroll joins the team.
Right now, the bar is set pretty high because they did really well last year, and we want to make sure that they keep that trend going, and hopefully we can accomplish that national championship this year as well.
Kroll coached hockey throughout Michigan at different levels, including 5 years at Picayune High School. He says he's grateful for this opportunity to be at UCF and that his main focus is for the players to have fun on and off the ice.
The main thing is I want the boys to come, work together on and off the ice hard, but have fun each and every game, whether we win or whether we lose some. There's learning steps, but I want them to enjoy their college and have fun.
Blazek says the team is looking forward to seeing its fans and family fill the stands for their home opener. In Orlando, Kenzie Hicks, UCF Nightly News.
The UCF hockey team takes on Embry-Riddle at the RDV Sportsplex in Maitland on September 21st at 10 p.m. You can follow the team for updates on Twitter at IceHockey@UCF. You can also purchase tickets at the game, and students who bring their student ID can get into the game for free. Meanwhile, the women's soccer team took on George Mason University last night. Coming into the match with a record of 2-2-1, the Knights lost the final game of their homestand 3-1. Despite outshooting the Patriots, the Knights couldn't outscore George Mason. This was due to George Mason goalie Morgan Simmers making unbelievable saves one after another. Simmers completely shut down UCF. The lone UCF goal came on a header from Kristen Scott, putting the ball just over Simmers to then tie the game. Here's what Coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahidic had to say about the loss.
We didn't really gel tonight. I think frustration sits in when you have a couple goals scored on you when you're not expecting it, and I think maybe players were trying to get it done on their own instead of playing together as a team.
The Knights will head on the road now for a 3-game road trip, starting off with Stetson on Sunday. UCF volleyball coach Todd Dagenet is 9 games away from winning his 200th game. Dagenet is in his 11th season as the head coach for the Knights with an all-time record of 191 wins and 139 losses. Dagenet is the longest-running head coach in UCF volleyball history. Here's what he had to say on his upcoming milestone and what it means to him in the program.
It means a lot to me because it means something to the program. For me personally, it doesn't mean anything to me, to be honest with you. It's just that I've been very fortunate to be around great people now for 10 years and some change.
Dagenet will become the second volleyball coach in UCF history to get 200 wins. He is now second in wins, only trailing behind Lucy McDaniel, who has 236 career wins. That's all the time we have in sports for today. Now back to Emily and Ramaya at the desk.
Thanks, Jess. So I actually did have plans to drive up to UNC this weekend for the UCF football game, but Florence kind of ruined that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I had plans also to go up there too, but I guess not. But I hopefully will be going to the next game. How about you?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope this week off doesn't ruin their winning streak mojo.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect.
Fingers crossed.
Right.
That's all the time we have for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with what we're doing during the week at UCF Nightly News on Twitter.
And if you have a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynews@gmail.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.